Hi everyone. I wanted to make sure I started on time at 8 o'clock for my Nutrition Tuesdays. I will wait just a minute or so that everybody gets online. I want everybody to be able to get this information on nutrition and fibroids. This is a topic that we have this week on Nutrition Tuesdays. This is something that I have thought about and said that I wanted to do. And so here we are. I appreciate you guys being here for the first edition of Nutrition Tuesdays. And so what I'll do is I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Natasha Ashley, and I am a registered dietitian. I am a certified nutritionist in New York City. I'm a licensed dietitian in Florida. Hey. And so what I want to do basically is try and spread some nutrition information to everyone in the community. I don't know if you guys know, but I am, of course, a Black dietitian. There are only about 17% of black dietitians in the whole dietetics community. So I want to make sure that I try and change that. Just a little background on myself. I have been in the nutrition field for over 10 years. I started off by going to the Florida State University, go Seminoles, and I got my bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics. I worked for the WIC program. I worked for a nursing home there, and then I decided to get my graduate degree in nutrition as well. And so I got that at NYU. That's why I'm here in New York City. And so now I work for a community nutrition program, and I feel the need to make sure that I am passing along nutrition information to my community. Okay, so this first topic is something that I actually did my thesis paper on when I was at NYU. It's on nutrition and fibroids, and a friend of mine most recently got her fibroids removed, and so that kind of like made me think, well, maybe I should kind of do this topic once again. So here we are, and we have Nutrition Tuesdays, and I thank you guys for being here. So what I want to do is I have my trusty little folder. I have all the nutrition research that I've done. I want to make sure that I bring you guys some important research-based information, nothing that I just went ahead and just was pulling out of the air. This is actually fact-based nutrition information. That's what I provide. So let's talk about fibroids. So there are many women, especially Black women, that are diagnosed with having fibroids. So what are fibroids? I got it on here. It's a non-cancerous tumor, so don't worry about, if you get fibroids that you have cancer. It's non-cancerous. And it's a type of tissue muscle cell that usually is around your uterus, around your womb, in that kind of way. All right. They can be, like I said, around the uterus, and they're very common in the reproductive age. Now, let me make sure I get this right. Okay. So getting fibroids are because there's an increase and decrease in estrogen and progesterone levels in your body around this age because of your periods. Your estrogen and progesterone increase and they decrease when you get your period and after. And so this increase and decrease around the reproductive age is what causes the fibroids. They can grow on their own. They can grow because of nutrition sources. That's what we're going to talk about today. There are lots of women that are affected by it right now, 170 million just in the United States. And about 3 out of 4 women by the age of 50 will get fibroids. So it's something that's very, very common. Some people have symptoms, some people do not have symptoms, but if you do have symptoms, they may range from heavy periods. You can have cramping, you can have pain when you have sexual intercourse, you can have a throbbing sensation in your stomach or in your lower back. It can also cause infertility or miscarriages. So there are different ranges of the symptoms and signs of getting fibroids. You may have those signs and symptoms, and you may not have them as well, okay? Who diagnoses it? Your gynecologist. They may do a pelvic exam, or they also have image testing where they go and kind of like do a sonogram of your uterus and of your reproductive area to see if you have any kind of fibroid growths going on there, okay? The most common type of surgery is just the removal of the fibroids. There are also some doctors who just do a hysterectomy and that's it. And that's what we don't want. We don't want you to get a hysterectomy, especially if you are of reproductive age and you want to reproduce and have children. Hysterectomies are the number one selling thing for gynecologists, okay? So most women with fibroids, they might push you to get a hysterectomy, but there are things nutrition-wise that you can do in order not to get them, okay? So there are different types of hormones that your doctor might put you on if you may have fibroids, okay? They might slow down the growth, but they also have their own side effects. So those side effects are things like osteoporosis, which a lot of older women may have. So if you're of reproductive age and you have osteoporosis, that's something that of course you don't want. Postmenopausal signs and symptoms like hot flashes, vaginal drying, weight gain, and insomnia may happen if you are taking these types of medication to help with the fibroids, okay? So fibroids can also run in your family. So for example, if your mom has fibroids, you are 3 to 4 times more likely to get fibroids. So it's something that is familial, all right? Also, being overweight, being African American, and also having a poor diet all contribute to getting fibroids. So if you have the trifecta, no bueno, okay? So basically, the higher your weight is, the more estrogen that you have circulating throughout your body. So that's why they say that if you have a higher weight, then you have a higher chance of getting fibroids. All right, so African American women, we have the highest rate of obesity and overweight in the United States. Therefore, we have the highest rate of getting fibroids in the United States as well. So let's get to the meat of it. How do we tackle these things? What do we do? So like I said, I've done research. I've done my nutrition thesis on this as well. I want to thank you guys because 2 years ago, I was asking for your help in filling out a survey that I did for my thesis. And a lot of you answered the survey, and these are some of the results here that I have and some other results from other research-based projects that I have right now. So what happens is that there are chemical receptors. So things like fruit and vegetables, meat, they all have chemicals in them. And then you also have a receptor. So you want to try and make sure you have the good stuff going into the receptors. So things like fruit and vegetables have phytoreceptors, which are food and good receptors. So phytochemicals, and those phytochemicals go inside of those receptors and they hold on to them. So instead of all of the estrogen going into the receptors, the phytochemicals, the food chemicals go into the receptors. That causes you not to have the fibroids. I know it's a lot of science talk in there. Just know fruit and vegetables good, too much estrogen bad, okay? So in the study that I did, it was 200 women. They answered 35 questions, things like, what are you eating? How much physical activity you do? How many fruits and vegetables do you have? Do you eat a lot of sweets? Do you drink a lot of alcohol? So on and so forth, okay? So women who had eaten more fruits and vegetables had a lower risk of getting fibroids. So what does that mean? That means that you should definitely eat more fruits and vegetables and try and definitely make fruit and vegetables the biggest part of your meals. Right now they have something called My Plate. You can go on myplate.gov and it shows you what your plate should look like. And on the next Nutrition Tuesday, I'll make sure to have a My Plate. Basically on My Plate, half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. The other quarter should be protein and the other quarter should be grains. They also have dairy on there as well. So you want to make sure when you have a meal every day that you are having mostly fruit and vegetables, okay? So what foods do you want to decrease? Things like meat, ham, beef, those things have hormones in them, and they may, you know, make sure that those receptors are bad receptors. So you don't want to eat those types of foods. Things like dairy. Dairy can be good because it has things like calcium in it. It has foods like things like vitamin D in it, which increase the good receptors in your body. Okay, so you want to try and eat foods that have those good chemicals in them, like fruit, like vegetables, like dairy, that will increase the good receptors and decrease the chances of the bad receptors getting in there. All right. And Black women are known for having a low vitamin D count. So how many times have you been to the doctor and the doctor has been like, well, your vitamin D level is low? Okay, that happens all the time in Black women. It happens all the time in Black people in general, but especially Black women. So those good phytochemicals like vitamin D were low in. So that increases our chances of getting fibroids as well. So a lot of these different things play a role in getting fibroids. Things like eating refined sugars, like white rice, white bread, things like sugary like donuts and cakes and things like that. French fries, those are all refined sugars, and those have bad chemicals in them. So you want to try and stay away from those. Lastly, you want to also think about chemicals that are not coming from food. So things like BPA bottles that you might use, you want to get the ones that are BPA free because you want to have, like I said, the good chemicals in your body, and BPA has bad chemicals in your body. Okay. Green foods like cabbage, like broccoli, like kale, those all have good chemicals in them. So you want to try and make sure that you're eating more of those green foods. Alcohol and caffeine can cause your liver to work too hard. So you want to try and make sure that your liver is not working hard and is able to process the food like it should. So try and stay away from alcohol and caffeine as well. So there was a lot of information that I gave you, but basically green foods, yes. Fruit and vegetables, yes. Alcohol and caffeine, a limited amount, okay? Things like refined sugars, a limited amount. Try and eat more whole grain foods like brown rice, brown bread, whole wheat pasta, things like that, quinoa. Those are all good foods to eat. And also things with good chemicals in them, like chemicals like omega fatty acids, those things like fish, olive oil, those have good chemicals in them. So try and eat those as well. So I have a couple of questions that some people have asked me, and I want to make sure that I go over those. So we have Ashby_Esquire. She asks, does consuming certain meat increase the chance of having fibroids or stimulate their growth? Yes. So like I said earlier, consuming meat like pork or ham or any food or any kind of meats that have a lot of chemicals in them or certain types of hormones in them can increase your risk of getting fibroids. So you want to try your best to get the ones that are more organic, that have less chemicals in them. Now, I understand that organic food is expensive. So what I would suggest is that if you have fibroids or have had fibroids, or it might run in your family or something that in that nature, it might be important to you to get those organic type of meats because you don't want those extra bad chemicals flowing in your body. You don't want to increase your risk if you've already had them as well. So try and get meats that are lower in hormones. Try and eat like chicken, turkey, fish. Those are always a lot healthier and have a lot less fat in them as well. Ashby_Esquire also asks, how does dairy affect fibroids. I said earlier that things like vitamin D and calcium all affect in a good way with fibroids because they are good chemicals for those receptors. So things like low-fat milk, cheese, yogurt, Greek yogurt, things like that, they are good for you. But you can also have things like soy products. Soy products usually have those in there. You want to make sure that if you are having non-dairy items, like almond milk, like soy milk, that they are fortified with calcium or vitamin D. Some of them are not, so you have to make sure and you read the ingredient list for vitamin D and calcium if you're getting any type of soy milk or almond milk or all those other kind of oatmeal milks and all the rest of the other stuff that they have. So look for those because the dairy products, the calcium and the vitamin D in them helps reduce the risk of fibroids. She also asked us, incorporating a lot of greens in your diet help combat growth. Yes. So the greens like kale, spinach, broccoli, all have a great phytochemical in them, which helps to reduce the risk of getting fibroids. So definitely make sure that you are eating your greens, okay? Save Me 511 doesn't have, she didn't have a question, but she had a comment, and so I wanted to make sure I read this. She said, first off, this is an awesome topic. Thank you. We should never underestimate the power of food. I made the decision to cut my meat intake to once every 2 to 3 weeks. I was getting ultrasound every 6 months and my fibroids were doubling in size each year. After cutting meat, my fibroids stopped growing, which is amazing. I eventually made the decision to have them surgically removed, so I can't say if they would have shrank as others have claimed. So basically what she did is that she started decreasing her meat intake and they shrank. So that's that. The proof is in the pudding right there. I mean, sometimes you can't just rely on just eating fruits and vegetables and thinking that they're just going to continue to shrink. You may need to get them surgically removed, but you might want to speak to your dietitian first to see if there are things that you can do in order to shrink them, because some people actually live with fibroids if they're small enough, if they're not causing any pain or anything like that. So people actually do live with fibroids all the time. Maybe you just want to shrink them. Maybe you don't want to have them surgically removed, and then you can just speak to someone about getting the nutrition plan set up and getting those fruits and vegetables in your diet and getting some of those bad chemicals out of your diet. Okay. So in summation, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to try and give you guys a quick summation and let you know about fibroids and nutrition. Try and make sure that you're eating more fruits and vegetables. Okay, it's not anything that's new. We don't want to hear it, but it's something that has been proven to increase and improve your health overall. So eating more fruits and vegetables, less fat, less salt, less sugar, always helps with your health. For fibroids, eating dairy that is higher in calcium and vitamin D, that is known to decrease your risk of fibroids as well. Decreasing your alcohol intake and decreasing your calcium intake, that helps with fibroids too. And so if you are at a higher risk of having fibroids, maybe your mom had them, you've had fibroids before, then you may want to think about trying some meats that are organic, some that have less hormones in them. You might want to kind of chuck it up and just pay for that, because it's your health. You want to make sure that you're healthy as for yourself and for your family. Okay. So a well-rounded diet is best to have, especially for fibroids, and just in general for your health. So if you need more nutrition information, you can always hit me up. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, Natasha_RD. On Facebook at Natasha Ashley. I also have my own nutrition website called it's www.natashaashley.rd.com. Let me say it again, www.natashaashley.rd.com. And on there, you can find information on how you can set up consultations. Maybe you have fibroids or have had them. Maybe you've been having some type of miscarriages or PCOS or things like that. Those are all things that can help. Nutrition can help with those types of things if you change your diet. Go on there, set up a consultation with me. Email me as well, natasha@natashaashleyRD.com, and I will email you back. You can always DM me or write something under my comments, and I will make sure to reply. Also, make sure that you are checking me out every Tuesday. Let me know which nutrition topics that you want to have for Nutrition Tuesdays, and I will make sure to have it out there, to do my research, and to make sure that I'm giving you fact-based information, not just something that I pulled out of the air. Okay, so thank you for those who are online and who have listened, and pass along the information to your friends and to your family, and let me know if you have any other questions or want to have a specific nutrition topic talked about on Nutrition Tuesdays. That's it. Thank y'all. Bye.